Hey, here we are, Swamp Classic 2021, Criterion Masters 40 Plus. There's Owen Schott there on the left, and there's Bruno, Ken Vita. Those are kind of some of the hitters in this field. Um, this was a 60-minute crit, Gainesville, Florida. This is actually on the grounds of where they have the NHRA Gator Nationals. I think this was maybe a back lot where they had maybe go-kart racing or some kind of race course. Nice that there was no curbs, just grass that was super soaked. If you rode into it, it was super muddy. This is the hairpin on the course. You had to really slow down here. Everyone had pretty good manners through that corner. Saw a couple of pedal strikes in the P12 race that I did later in the crit, but the Masters guys were pretty well behaved and getting through that hairpin. Then it really ramps up through this sweeper here along the backside, and here's the kind of finishing straight to the start finish line. This is a really fun course. It had rained the night before and maybe a little bit even in the morning. Still some wet spots on the course, as you could see. But all in all, this was really just a fun course. Not worrying about hitting a curb, going over the bars, or anything like that. This is kind of one of the right-hand sweepers setting up for the chicane right through here. That wet spot that Ken just went through, that stayed wet. But if you see the line, if you take the right line like Ken did here, you can actually pedal all the way through the chicane, which is good. And this was one of the two spots, this little stretch here, where you could kind of move up if you needed to. Otherwise, it was pretty hard. There's an attack going by Owen, trying to get someone to go with him. I don't know if he's waiting for me or who he's waiting for, but obviously didn't get there. Let some guys fill in, and I'll kind of file back in here, back into the setting up for the hairpin. Just really wore your legs out here where everyone accelerated out of that hairpin. I think we got down to 12 miles an hour or something, getting around there, and ramping it back up to 30 or whatever we were doing here. A little crosswind, I think. At this time of day, it was a left to right, but the P12 crit, it was a crosswind into a headwind on the front straightaway. Really saw the field shatter, kind of break apart a lot in that one. I stayed a little closer to the front in this race. Actually was kind of torn on whether I should double up in the crit. Had a really good result in the road race in the P12 field the day before. It was 78 miles, and I think 73, 74 guys in it, and I was able to come by with a fifth place finish, which was super happy with that. And ended up TT afterwards in the time trial with a 30-second time bonus for Merc style, not TT bike or helmet or anything else. Ended up coming in 8th in the P12 in the TT, and so it's actually sitting 5th overall in the P12 Omnium going into the crit here on Sunday. I'm not a overly confident crit racer, I guess you could say. Have a good time if I can get in the breakaway, but just haven't done a lot of it. Racing in tight packs, imagine 77 guys on this course. But I was kind of forcing myself outside my comfort zone by racing the P12 field anyway. And so I decided to go ahead and race the 40 plus and kind of maybe take it easy, but I think your racing instincts kind of take over when you're in the race, and so I didn't necessarily take it easy here. Tried to get in some moves, try to cover moves. There was 3 points preems up for grabs in the race here, and you see the attacks would usually come right after the points preem was done, and there's going through that chicane. There's Bruno with Pioneer Mortgage, kind of ramping it up out of there. I'm gonna jump on his wheel. I think we look back and see that everyone's with us, so we kind of just shut down here a little bit. That's just some fans with the bell. That's not the preem lap bell or anything. Here's that fun hairpin. I guess if it would have been raining, they'll delete the hairpin out of the course, but then it just makes the left turn onto the sweeper. You're going even faster, and I heard from some of the locals that you can kind of overshoot that and slide off in the rain anyway. So fortunately, weather's pretty favorable here. It was pretty cold, actually. You guys are giving me crap afterwards because I was wearing a vest for the whole race, but I didn't care. It kept me warm, and I didn't overheat with it. It warmed up. The P12 race, I think, started at 2 o'clock. This one started at 11, and by 2 o'clock it was plenty warm enough where I just wore my road suit for that one, but kept the vest on here. There's Ken Vito with the Stars and Stripes. He's a hitter. He's definitely the guy to watch for on the Florida Velo team. Coming through the chicane. Kind of get pinched off here, I guess, on the exit if you're not careful there. You have to cut through the grass, which is pretty muddy. And Chaz was telling me he got pinched off in the P12 race and cut the grass there, and fishtailed it a little bit, was able to keep it upright enough. Really fun racing with Chaz and Nick and Tyler. They came out and racing the P12 road race with them, and seeing Chaz get in the winning break in that one. He ended up getting second in the road race. I guess it was a 5-man break that got away, 2.5 laps to go or something in that, and then I think it was on the last lap I kind of rolled off the front and soloed my way up to one of the guys that got popped off out of that break, and was able to work with him, and we worked together and took him at the line for 5th and 6th respectively. But I was just hoping to finish inside the top 20, so I was pretty happy with that 5th place finish in the road race. Legs felt pretty good in this one, but as you'll see this race kind of unfold here, definitely could have used some of that energy in the P12 race. I ended up racing, that was a 70-minute crit. I raced about the first half of it, I think 33, 34 minutes before just a big field, and man, if you got in the back, and just the surge and stretch and snap out of that hairpin was pretty brutal. But I actually felt pretty comfortable in that race. Again, a lot of guys and kind of technical crit course, but all in all, everyone was pretty well mannered. There were several 90-degree corners in the road race the day before, and guys were swarming and trying to go through them 15 deep, and so this actually felt a lot more relaxed in the P12 crit than some of the corners in the P12 road race. But just a really fun time. Top View Sports puts on some really fun races. Actually going to head to Texas next weekend and race in the Davy Crockett. It's actually I think they call it a stage race, but it's a road race, a TT, and another road race. Steven, Cat 4, 23-year-old guy that went out here with me, he kind of talked me into it, into registering for that. Actually, when we were flying out for this race, I think selfishly he needed me to go because being 23, it's not old enough to rent a car, so I'm the responsible party, I guess, in that one. So we'll fly into Dallas, and I think it's about a 2-hour drive from there. Unfortunately, I didn't check the weather forecast for Crockett, Texas, for February 13th and 14th, but I think the highs in the high 30s on Saturday and the mid 30s on Sunday. I think the lows are in the 20s, so we're gonna freeze our butts off. But whatever, it's bike racing. It'll be fun once we get going. It'll be a good time. So really looking forward to that. I trained through the winter and really just have seen some pretty good gains in my fitness. Got on the Lactigo. Everyone's talked about Lactigo. I'm definitely a fan of that stuff. Pre-workout and post-workout as well. I think it just helps, at least I notice it helps me recover so much better. And it goes on clean and clear. It's using the PR lotions, I think, good, but it's just not practical to put on post-ride. This stuff kind of goes on and dries good, but yeah, Lactigo and like Coach Tony Wolf keeping me honest with my intervals. Had a 20-minute power PR, I think a week and a half before this race. And yeah, I just had the legs and then had the stamina to get away and bridge up solo. I think I put in probably a good 10-12 minute effort. I don't know, that video's up on my YouTube channel also, the last lap and a half of the P12 road race. But there's Owen asking me if I want to play the heart rate game with him. I guess he didn't want to play. My heart rate was a little bit lower. I'm a couple years older than he is.
I just got down to 148. I think I had 175 for 5 minutes in the road race.
So we're kind of sitting in here, and I think the unspoken game plan, I don't know, it might have been even spoken, was we'll hit them hard after the next Omnium Points Prix. They'll go all in, and we'll kind of sit back for that. So I think that's going to unfold here pretty soon. Trying to be mindful of the water on the course and wipe my GoPro lens. You can see there. Wasn't great at it. You can see some water spots throughout this video, but by and large, did good. This is my first YouTube video that I've actually decided to narrate, so I have a deeper respect for, Sean Bagley's. He's so efficient with his videos. He'll do a crit, get back home that night, and not only upload it but narrate the whole thing, and definitely add something to it. Makes it a little more entertaining than just listen to the wind and guys barking at each other every now and again. But putting some rider context in it is, I think, definitely ups the viewer quality. So it's my first swing at that. go. This is a good spot to recover. Setting up for the hairpin. I finally figured out about halfway through this race that you downshift a whole bunch of gears and then downshift maybe even one more. So when you exit out of this hairpin, it's a little easier to spool it up and get on the wheel in front of you. You just hope the wheel in front of you doesn't get gapped off, and then you gotta come around and bridge up. But I don't think that happened too much in this race. I think I had to kind of come around this guy here. Wasn't sure he was going to be able to hold the wheel. Didn't want it to get away from me and make it a bigger project to stay connected the longer I waited. So I went ahead and came around him here. We're about 45 minutes in to the 60-minute crit, I think, at this point. I think that last points premium's coming up pretty soon. I tried to ride it as efficiently as possible, which isn't necessarily my forte, as some of my teammates will tell you. Tucker, get off the front. What are you doing? I tried to sit in more in this one. Lurking in the back of my mind is I got that P12 crit later in the afternoon, and probably want to try to save a little bit of fitness and energy for that, but I think I have to get out of the saddle here, get back up. These guys were ramping it up on this lap for whatever reason. This was a pretty good spot on the course to pass. This big long back stretch wasn't as much of a factor in this race. At least in the front of the race, it got pretty small, pretty strung out. But man, with 70 plus guys in the P12, guys are kind of starting to file in here and 4 and 5 wide, and fighting for position a little bit to get set up for the chicane. It's a lot more fun when it was just lined out single file. As long as the guy in front of you was able to hold the wheel, you're in pretty good shape. That bell ringing. I think that was Owen's girlfriend or wife. Got like the giant labradoodle out there, but she was cheering him on. She's a good sport. Set up there before that right-hander leading into that hairpin left. Yeah, here was the move. So I was out of position, and I had to really sprint up. This is Owen and Bruno.
Up!
And I got ahead of steam coming, so I got a big gap behind me, and so this is kind of setting up the winning break right here. They were already up the road. I went ahead and rolled through. They jumped on, and I got pulled through the front stretch. And it was just the three of us. And you can see the wind's kind of a headwind now through the front there, but definitely the right combination to stay away. You got Owen's shot and the break with you. You got pretty good things going, and Bruno's no slouch either. So he's fun to race with as well. Owen does a little whistle to these guys, letting them know we're coming through. These guys were popped off the back already, I think, but we're going here. And I'm sure someone's going to comment that it's the soon-to-be banned UCI position there. But, my bike's not built for comfort, so it's kind of nice to rest your wrists on the tops every now and again. Masters coming through that hairpin. This was just such a fun course. And I wish we had something like that locally, even if it was just to do practice crits on. It'd be great. There's Bruno pulling through. And take a pretty good pull here to the front. I'm not sure if we'll have lap cards on this lap, but probably get close to lap cards. Owen pulling through here. So Owen, I'm used to seeing him in his Velobrew kit with his Stars and Stripes. He won a Masters National Championship, I think a road race 2 or 3 years ago. And notice he didn't have the Stars and Stripes on his.
On your inside.
On your inside, buddy. We're racing still. He didn't have the Stars and Stripes on his Amino Rib kit, but he's on the D1 team that he's on this year. Some super strong guys in that one. Just a stacked team there. And so I think he's the only guy in this race because he's the only one old enough to race it, probably. Only Masters on the Amino Rib team. But Owen's a great guy. Have a lot of fun racing for him. Learn a lot just kind of watching him and race IQ. And Bruno's a lot of fun too. Kind of got to know these guys and from racing with them in the past and stuff. So it's kind of fun to come back out here. And everyone's super friendly and just impressed that he made the trek out from California to race with them. And had some pretty strong fields. This one was something else. There's Owen flicking me through. And I'll take my pull here. Again, this is the headwind section, so I try to get pretty aero. Still put down the watts and try to open it up, but I don't like to waste them. So sorry for the gloves in the camera there. I don't usually wear gloves, but wasn't sure the bar tape. I got some cork bar tape on right now that I think has a tendency to be pretty slippery if it's wet. So those are actually some, I think, mountain bike gloves that I threw in my bag in case it was going to be damp. So you can see Bruno pulling through the chicane. I pulled from kind of the start-finish line of there. Yeah, we just kind of rotated through and took turns and seemed pretty balanced. I'm not sure. I think I have a tendency to do too much work in a breakaway like this, but I just don't want to be accused of not doing my share. But I think you got to do enough to keep everyone satisfied, but not so much that you don't have anything left for the finish. So trying to walk that fine line. These guys have been racing a few years longer than me, so kind of err on the side. Like I went ahead and pulled through there. He pulled on. I got him. I probably could have let him pull through the sweeper here, but just trying to be a good brake mate. I have sprint shifters in the drop, so I can kind of reach over and stay in this TT position and change my gears without having to sit up too much. So that's kind of nice. I think we have a lap card here. Let's see what this one says. All right, 3 laps to go. I think at this point we've got a pretty good gap, like, I don't know, maybe 40 seconds. We weren't really worried, or they weren't worried that we were going to get caught. I guess a little bit of a nervous Nelly, like we're never away until the race is over and we're still away. I guess that's kind of how I process it. Haven't been doing it that long, like I said, so I'm still learning, trying to take something away from every race experience and getting as many races as I can. Just to sharpen myself, my race IQ a little bit. So is the hairpin on 3 to go. So we'll see 2 on the lap cards next time through, and then Bell Lap. I think Bruno kind of dialed his pulls back a little bit, so he was starting to kind of get ready for the sprint finish, and probably recover a little bit here these last couple of laps coming up. I do a pretty good pull here. Probably too much, but live and learn. My legs felt good, but I guess just because your legs feel good doesn't mean you should waste waste them. And didn't think I was going to hold on to 5th at P12 Omni. If I did, I probably would have skipped this one and just raced the P12 crit. Actually, even though I pulled out halfway through that P12, I think I ended up only dropping 2 spots, so I finished 7th in the P12 Omnium. This was the only Masters race I did, was the crit. Figure you fly all the way to Florida, might as well double up, get as many races as you can. So 2 to go, hairpin, and then we'll see Bell Lap after we get through the hairpin and that sweeper on the front straightaway. That was the oldest ambulance still in operation there on the right. Kind of chuckled when we saw it. I don't know if you'd rather drive yourself to the hospital than get in the ambulance from the TV show Chips in the 80s, it looked like. But fortunately it stayed there the whole time, so didn't have to get used. Nothing major. Couple mishaps and road rash, but none in this race, but fields. I think one of the guys in the 50 plus, Andrew, said there was 3 crashes in the hairpin. Here we go, Bell Lap, 1 to go. So here's where, well, I guess I'll take you guys around on Bell Lap. I looked down, I was doing 200 watts, and so I figured whether I'm sitting on the front or sitting in, it's not gonna make much of a difference into the sprint. But probably would have been better not being first going into the sprint. So they were able to kind of get the jump on me here. You'll see. So this is last lap. Last couple turns. Here's the right-hander setting up for the hairpin. So I'm just trying to calm my breathing down a little bit. Get ready for that final push coming up here. I'd much rather have a 3-man sprint than a pack sprint, field sprint. So you can hear one of the guys yelling, "Here, go," when he sees what's happening. But Bruno's second wheel, Owen's third wheel. Here it comes. Here you hear up. They got a good jump on me. Owen got a pretty good jump. Left, right crosswind. Bruno kicks in the afterburners. Like, man, I can't get Bruno, but I can probably get Owen here and come around him on the left, a little shelter from the wind, and I was able to take Owen at the line for second. So you're able to stay away, and that's it.